All right, come on in, everybody. Welcome back to the Holler. Justin Canoe, Holler founder, editor, all that good stuff. tnholler.com is where you can find us at the TN Holler on Twitter and Facebook. We also have Hollers hollering all across the state thanks to your support. We really do appreciate it. Your small dollar monthly contributions keep us going. And also, as always, we want to send a shout out to Elisa Parker for her support. If you're buying or selling a home in Tennessee, do it through her. She's very supportive of us. And if you need a lawyer, Abby Rubenfeld is supportive of us. Also, we appreciate what they do for us. Today, we wanted to jump on here and talk to Brenda Dotson, who is embroiled in a situation in Sumner County that, if you've been following us on social media, you might know a little bit about. Basically, I'm going to give the broad strokes and then Brenda can give us the scoop. But she's running for a county commission seat in Sumner County, where it's a very Republican area. I think the whole county commission is Republican and white. And somehow, some way, Brenda ended up tied for this seat in Sumner County. And there has been a bit of a controversy there because now they're trying to decide how they're going to settle that tie. And the county commission is now taking action that seems to be to try to rob Brenda of a runoff. Brenda, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So I guess bring us up to speed. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about the district itself? I'm told it's the most diverse district in Sumner County.
That's correct. It's the most diverse district that we have. It has a lot of black and brown in a certain area, and that area has not been taken care of like it should. And that is my reason for running, because we have on the city is considered the 5th district. It has been, I'm not going to say totally neglected, but it's a lot of neglect going in that area. And that's the area also I live in. So every day on the city end, we do not have a lot of representation also. So I just felt like that particular district was not being represented. So that's why I decided to run.
Okay. And when you were running, did you feel like it was close? I mean, I feel like we always tell ourselves the story of, every hand we shake could be the last, the one that puts us over the top. Every door we knock could be the one. But in your case, it really was. Did you know it was this close?
No, sir. I did not know that it would be a tie. That's very unusual. That's something has never happened between a Republican and a Democrat. For my, what I know is that it has happened, but not between a Republican and a Democrat. I know it has ended in a tie, and they say that the people have spoke for it to be a tie, half and half. But I feel like they're taking away one side's voting rights compared to one other side, because if you look at it, nobody of a Democrat has got those type of numbers from over there, and I did. So
Yeah.
for me to tie, the people did show up, and now I feel like that the constituents' voice is getting took.
Right.
So you got one side going to get to speak, and one side will not.
Right. So I've heard from even Republicans in your area that it was a pretty big deal for you to tie for this seat. This is not a generally Democratic held seat. You're running as a Democrat. People showed up, you tied. And so now it seems like what's going on is, legally speaking, it shifts to the county commission and it becomes their decision about what can happen. And I think the law says they have two choices. They can either have you go to a runoff, which we're in a democracy. It seems like a runoff is the right way to settle this, especially since it would happen in November when we're already having an election. So I don't think it would cost the county anything. And then the other choice they can make is to just hand pick one of you. And we know this is a very Republican area. It's an all Republican county commission. I think there were people pushing pretty hard to hand pick Terry Boyd, who is your opponent. And instead, someone made a motion to send it to a runoff. And then what happened Monday night when that motion came up?
It was so fast. I don't think nobody knew what was going on at first. Baker Ring, I'm going to say, I guess as soon as they got in there, he deferred it. And before we knew it was deferred, and second, everybody was kind of scrambling to see what item he was talking about. He just said the numbers. It wasn't anything about what it was. It was just the numbers. And I really think they were may have been confused on the voting because it wasn't very clear on what you were voting for. Were you voting to have the runoff or were you voting to defer? It wasn't very clear. So we were kind of sitting there puzzled because we couldn't really understand. Everything went so fast. Even the vote, it was only up there for a few seconds and was taken down. So we couldn't really see who voted and who didn't. So when we kind of realized what was going on, by then you weren't able to speak on it at all.
Well, that's an important point because people were there to speak and they didn't even let anybody speak. They just deferred it to a later commission, which everybody there knows is going to be populated by an even more extreme group of Republicans. There were a number of who they're calling constitutional conservatives that ended up losing to these endorsed who they call common sense conservatives. So the county commission, when it convenes with the newly elected people, will be even more extreme. And that's why they punted to that next county commission. Is that your understanding?
Well, I'm not getting ready to say that they even punted it.
Okay.
I think one particular person reacted so fast that they didn't have it wasn't time for anybody else to say anything. Before anybody could, that was already on the table. So they had to deal with what was on the table. I think it would have been put on the table. I don't think it was even time. I think it was just handled so quickly, and I don't understand why that it was handled that quickly to the point that it was so much confusion really going on, like I said, when that happened.
And how did you feel after it had happened? Did you feel like they had done you dirty?
I feel like it's really kind of been that the whole race. I feel like both of us are running a race, but her race is maybe straight through and I have hurdles because of different things that it could possibly be maybe because it is our state. I don't know why.
Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? Just like what hurdles along the way have you felt like you've run into?
Even door knocking. Some neighborhoods was a little more difficult for me to door knock because of the predominance of color. I was not welcomed well. I ran, I say, a 10 times harder race, was very public, was very, like I say, I'm an activist. I'm out here for not just that community, but for the city. I've yet to see my opponent anywhere to the fact most of the time people think she's a male because they have not seen or heard from her, even though it's transparency is what she's running on. So, I mean, I just felt like mine has been a little bit more difficult.
So one of the things that I think is worth knowing is when this was all going on, there was a big push by these constitutional conservatives to get Boyd handpicked. They celebrated, you see this Sumner County Constitutional Republicans celebrated the deferment, what they called the deferment. And, that's what they've been pushing for. We've also heard that Rep William Lamberth has sort of been working behind the scenes to make this happen for Terry Boyd. And then another thing that has just come to our attention is there's a seating chart that apparently these constitutional Republicans have already circulated. And if you can see at the bottom left there, they've already put Boyd in the seating chart, even though theoretically she hasn't been picked and it's been deferred. And this is still right now a tie. Did you know about this seating chart, and how does it make you feel to see that they've already written her into that?
It makes me feel hurt and saddened for the district, because that district really needs help, and it needs somebody that is going to be active and in that community to help. So the fact that I haven't been, it's like I was not given a chance, because when I pulled the paperwork on that district, and it goes back to the redistricting of that district, I feel like that district was district so that it could not be represented by a diverse person. If you look at the numbers, it goes back to that. But the fact that, I was told that I would not win when I pulled the paperwork out, that I wouldn't. And to know that I put up that fight, I ran that race, and from what they say it's a tie. But I don't totally, that's very unlikely, I'm gonna say. And so I feel like some other things may have went into place. It's just felt like I've had to just fight this whole race.
So you think there's a possibility that there's potentially some shenanigans going on with the tie itself?
I do think so. It was some, I feel like with the confusion on the districts, I do know that people were sent to other districts. I do know people that were not offered provisional ballots. One vote is one vote, and one person that you sent away that probably was could have got a provisional ballot, that was my win. So to take it back and let them decide, when maybe some of those things may have happened because there was a lot of confusion on the districting, that's one reason I would have sent it back to a runoff, because we do know something was wrong with machines. Some people voting I know a person that said they had to do it twice for it to count. So because of the confusion with the districts and because of everything else, I feel like it should have went to the runoff, because it's not going to cost taxpayers anything to make sure that it was fair for both of us. I'm not pushing for either one of us, just a fair race.
Well, and I think that's an important point. You're not pushing to be picked. You're pushing for a chance to run it off, which is the, frankly, American and the democratic way to go about this and to decide this. And that's one of the reasons I feel like people need to pay attention to this story, because there are other issues other than just a Sumner County Commission seat. This is about democracy. This is about fairness. It might, I think there's a case to be made. It's about race. This is an all white county commission, all Republican county commission. What issues do you think you were at play here if you were going to tell someone about this story that doesn't live in Sumner County?
I would tell them that we have areas that need representation, and they were able to get that representation, and now they have voted, and they showed up in those numbers, and it showed that they showed up. Even though it did end up in a tie and they said more should have showed up, what about those that did show up, and they're going to take their vote like it didn't even count and pick a person that they have never seen, or that their community probably will not still be represented.
Right. Just as a last thing, and then I'll get you out of here. On your site, your page, you say this isn't over. So what do you mean by that?
I mean, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight to the end, and I'll still be fighting, because whether I get this seat or not, I will still be there for District 13. So they're still gonna have to deal with me, whether they want to or not. I'll still be there. making sure that what hasn't been represented will be represented.
Well, Brenda, good luck to you. Thanks for coming on here and talking to us about it. How can people help? Should they still be reaching out and contacting the county commission? Is that worth doing? Is there anything people can do? I know I saw a list of the county commission emails put up by, I think, the treasurer of the Republican Party. So these are their emails, and an email from the chair of the Sumner County GOP, Craig Garton, basically pushing for Terry Boyd to be handpicked. What can people do?
I see. Well, it's not ended yet, so it's still an opportunity that they could pick for a runoff. So I would still reach out. Everyone needs to contact their person and make sure that they know that that's what they would like to have, a runoff, so that they can be represented and so that their vote counts. And maybe they'll listen. I'm not going to say they won't. We don't know what they're going to do yet until it comes.
All right, Brenda, thank you. Appreciate you. We'll be watching. Thanks for running, because I know running for anything is, a heavy lift, especially in this state. And keep us posted, okay?
All right. Thank you.
All right, take care. That's Brenda Dotson in Sumner County. It just feels like a situation where democracy is getting thrown by the wayside. It's hard to ignore the optics of, an all white, all Republican county commission choosing basically not to allow a runoff at a tied race in the most diverse district in the county. And you've got William Lamberth behind the scenes pulling the strings. You've got these quote unquote constitutional Republicans who, often don't have much use for the Constitution when it's something that they disagree with. And, it's just an issue that I think we need to erase, and an issue that we need to keep an eye on. But I have talked to Republicans in that county that were impressed that Brenda tied for this seat. So, there's something something inspirational about that. I think my mic just came out. Sorry about that. All right, we will be watching. One other thing worth mentioning while I have a few of you on here is we just posted an image of the Beacon Center, Tennessee, just admitted that Governor Lee's education funding overhaul was intended to help vouchers take money from our public schools. So check out our feeds for that. I'll do more about that at another time. And keep an eye on Brenda's race and make them feel you, especially if you're in Sumner County. Keep following the holler. Have a good day.